Hello everybody, it's Mike DeLuna here, and as I promised, I was going to deliver a video this week on my motivational channel called Motivation by Demand, powered by Mike DeLuna Empower. So I wanted to start off, it's my channel, so I figured I would go first, right? I've got a whole bunch of great testimonies lined up, and all of this stuff is meant to encourage you to be the best version of you. It's a bunch of struggles, and it's a bunch of people overcoming, and I do have a format that I'm going to follow. And basically the way it's going to work is we're going to talk about what happened, what situation took place, and I'll just read it. So the interview questions are going to be: what was your biggest obstacle? What was the problem? What was the concern? What happened? How did you feel when you were in the thick of the challenge? What helped you get through it? And what was a lesson? So I'm going to be the first to start off the testimonies by just saying the name of my story is called Good Intentions, and it's about my son. His name was Xavier DeLuna, and last year, February, this is actually the first time I've told this story publicly, so just bear with me for a moment. But I'm going to keep these stories about 15 minutes in length. So, and I'm outside, just giving you a quick warning. I'm outside, and it could be a little windy at time, but I just wanted the background to be awesome, and I just wanted to hopefully touch your heart and share something that's going to motivate you and get you stirred up about your testimony. So, first and foremost, my son was 18, and he passed away last year in February. And I wanted to tell you the story. And again, this is the first time I'm saying, a lot of this publicly, but I wanted to share the story because I think there's a lesson in it, and it's going to help someone. So my son was 18 years old, and basically, long and short is, I was trying to contact him on on February 8th, and he would not answer, couldn't get in touch with him. And but I just thought that he was taking the day off from work, and he was sleeping late and everything like that. So it starts getting later in the evening, and I texted him a couple times. I called his brother and asked did he see him, and he said no, he wasn't sure if he got up to use the restroom and things like that because he had slept as well. So anyway, I come home, about 8 o'clock at night, and I'm calling him because I'm at Whataburger picking up some food, and I'm trying to see if he wanted some dinner. And he didn't respond as well. I texted him a couple times, no response. So as I'm in the Whataburger line, though, I start getting this feeling in the pit of my stomach that something wasn't right. He would have called me by now. He would have texted me by then. He would have been asking what's for dinner, of course. It's something he did every day, and I didn't receive any of those calls. So I knew something was going on. I get home, and I go to his room, and I start beating on the door, and there's no answer at all. So I asked his brother to come with me. Basically, we were gonna get a knife or a screwdriver or something in order to basically pry the door open. And so we did, and we opened the door, and I remember walking in, and I saw my son on his bed, and I called his name, and no response. And I remember walking up to him, and I remember touching his chest and saying, "Wake up." And I remember he was cold. And I remember that was the first thought of him actually, my worst nightmare coming true. He was deceased. And I started shaking him, and I was calling his name, and just like in the movies, you lose it. And I'm screaming, and I'm like, "Get up, wake up, this can't be happening." And I'm touching his head, and his brother's behind me, and I remember giving Mike my phone, telling him to call 911. And for those that know my son, he's not very vocal, so for him to take charge and call the paramedics and everything was really a difficult task for him, because he's really not that type of person. So I remember hearing him on the phone with the 911 operator, and the whole time I'm just laying there or sitting there by my son's side, just like just dumbfounded, if you will. I was in shock. It was something that I never thought I would ever endure, And so the paramedics come, and police come and question, what happened and when was the last time we saw him, which was the night before. We saw him. It was actually Super Bowl Sunday the night before. So he came down about 11 o'clock and wished me a good night, and that was the last time I spoke with him, And I just remember, everybody, it was like a daze. The paramedics were asking me questions, did he have any allergic reaction to anything, what was the last meal he ate. The police were obviously questioning to, anytime someone passes away, they're gonna ask you questions. And it was pretty immediate that the lady on site, the investigator, just knew right offhand that it was something that, was not at the hands of myself or my son. And I hadn't been home all day anyway, but anyway, that's something that plays over in my head over and over. And, the next question is what, or how did you feel when you were in the thick of the challenge? I felt like my whole world had come crashing down on me. I felt like I was dreaming. I felt like there's no way that my son was not here. There's no way that he passed away at the young age of 18. I felt like it couldn't be true. And the one thing that I will say is that whenever you go through something like that, there's only one thing that you can do, and that's stand on something that is true, because everybody is telling you different things. Everybody's telling you, be strong. Some people are saying, don't be strong. You can grieve. You can be human. Let it out. Some people were just saying, I don't know what to say. I'm just here for you, But the one thing that I did was I never questioned God on why did he do this? Why did you take my son, Lord? And today is Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. What great day to tell a story like this, But I never asked God, why did you take him? The question that I asked God was, what do you want me to do with this situation? First of all, I know he gave me the strength. He gave me the ambition to move on, to live, to learn to live without my son. But I know God would not just leave me there like that, like in that state, And so I started thinking about, okay, what do you want me to do? And, I want to tell something that I probably only told like a handful of people in this life. And the funniest thing was I asked God to give me a sign that everything was okay with my son. And the funniest thing happened. Of course, not funny as in humor, but God answered my prayer. And what happened was my son and I and one of his best friends, we had a trip scheduled to go to Colorado. And for those that know Colorado, it was snowing during that time. So we were really excited about going because he had never really seen snow in that capacity before. And, I haven't probably seen snow in that capacity either, to be honest with you. I've been to a couple places where it's cold, but not that type of snow, So anyway, we had a trip planned. And, he passed away a few weeks before we were supposed to take this trip. And I remember this was about a week after he passed, and I was standing in my front room, and I started praying. I said, God, show me, when you lose a loved one, we learn about heaven and things like that, but you're just thinking like, man, is he there? Is he there? What is he seeing? What does he wake up to every day? And I know it just blows your mind to think about that, but I was just like, God, just give me a sign that he's okay. He's with you. Give me a sign so I can start learning to live with joy again. And I woke up one morning and I look outside. We have, these big blinds that cover up these patio sliding doors. And I look outside and the entire patio is covered in snow, ice looking situation. So, and you guys remember we had that ice storm or snowstorm or whatever a few years back. So I walk outside and I'm looking down as far as my eye can see, and it's white, like a blanket of snow. And I walk back in the house and I smelled my son's fragrance. And I looked around, I said, maybe I have his sweater or maybe I have his beanie or something. And it wasn't. And I look outside the window and I hear his voice. And in his voice, he said, Pops, you don't have to worry about going to Colorado because I brought Colorado to you. And he said, I'm okay, Dad. And I'll never forget that. I get choked up just thinking about that. You know, God gave me the confirmation that I needed to know that my son is okay. And I'm saying all of this stuff because somebody out there needs to hear this. The other thing is, what happened or what helped you get through this? So, as I stated before, when you have a tragedy in your life, you have to depend on something that's true. And people would say one thing, people would say another. But the only thing that I know that was true was the fact that God says he'll never leave you or forsake you. And I stood on that word because I kept quoting it back and saying, well, God, you said you'll never leave me or forsake me. And you also said that you wouldn't put more on me that I couldn't handle. You know, and a lot of times we think we're in the midst of something and we think, man, I'm at my breaking point. Like, God, I can't handle anymore. But the truth is it brings me to my next point. What was the lesson in this? The lesson for me was that I'm so much stronger than I ever thought I was. There's people out there that say, man, Mike, I don't understand how, you know, you seem like you're taking this so well. You seem like, you know, you're moving on with your life. And let me just say, guys, it's not, by no means do I not have bad days. I mean, we all have bad days. I mean, somebody's listening to this and they've lost a loved one and they understand. They lost a pet. I mean, you can lose a dog and a cat and it affects you just like a human. You know, they're just like your kids. So, I mean, I know that sounds like insignificant, but I do understand what that feels like. A loss is a loss. A relationship loss is a loss. So I get it. You know, we mourn for as long as we have to mourn. But the lesson that I got out of losing my son, was that when things happen, the best question to ask God is not, why did you do this, God? It's, what do you want me to learn from this? What do you want me to do with this? And one thing that I'm very proud of that I was able to do was, shortly after he passed, I was able to launch a Grief Share chapter at my church. And what Grief Share is basically, it's for people that are grieving. It's a small group, and we go through 13 weeks of, it feels like counseling, but it's videos and it's a group discussion. And let me just say, I have met some of the most fantastic people in that group, and that has helped me get through this as much as possible. And the whole topic of Grief Share is from taking your mourning to joy. And I'm just going to say that I'm on that road right now, and I'm feeling more joyful than ever before. And the lesson is, no matter what life throws at you, no matter what happens, no matter what detour you have to take from life, is that you are much stronger than you know. And until you're faced with a challenge that you say right now, I could never do that. I once told myself, I don't know what I would ever do if I lost one of my kids. And now I'm sitting here talking to you guys, and that is my reality. And the truth is that I'd never thought I could make it through. But with God, I've been able to, because he has never left me and he's never forsaken me, like his word says. So if you're dealing with anything out there that's hurtful, that you didn't think you would be able to make it through, lean on that. Lean on the fact that the truth is the truth. And that's the only thing that's going to help you through it. My faith is super strong now. And the other lesson I learned is that we definitely, I'm more compassionate to people than ever before. Like, things that used to bother me don't bother me anymore, because I realized that at the blink of an eye, I told my son good night at 11 o'clock, and the very next morning he didn't wake up. That fast. In the blink of an eye, you could be gone. Your loved one could be gone. All the minor stuff, all the bickering, all the financial issues and concerns and, you know, things that we do for money. You know, I'm not saying don't, but there are more things important. There are more things that are important than just, how am I going to pay my bills? The most important thing that you can have is a relationship with God, with your friends, with your family, with your coworkers, with yourself. Like, learn to love yourself. There's so many lessons that this taught me. But the number one lesson it taught me was that I'm so much stronger than I ever thought I would be. And when things come up against you, challenges, just know that the way you respond to it is what builds your character. The way you respond to the things that happen to you in life is all you can control. You can't control anything else. I can't control the fact that my son's not here, but I can respond to it in a proper way to where I can help other people through videos like this, through this motivational channel, through prayer, through discussion, through just communication with people. I think we take that for granted that we're able to communicate. I think we take that for granted that we're able to have relationships with people. I think we take for granted that we're able to even talk to each other and communicate and be kind and nice to each other. So I just wanted to share this testimony with you. I'm still on the road, and I'm still seeing every day God uncovering something new for me, a new challenge, a new person that I can touch. And again, this is my real first time kind of sharing this whole story publicly, and so I left a lot out, but I want to keep these videos very short, so hopefully if you're watching, you'll watch the entire video and share it, and maybe it would impact and touch somebody's life that maybe normally wouldn't go to church, or maybe they're not looking for counseling, but they just want somebody out there that understands what grief feels like. And I'm the guy. So look, I'm all about helping. So you guys have my Facebook information. If it's just a chat, if it's just, hey, your story encouraged me, then, pass it on, help somebody else. Because my whole mindset has shifted from just me, thinking of me, to thinking about how can I add value to someone else every single day. And that's why I invented this channel, actually, because I want these testimonies to absolutely change someone's life out there. And I've got some great testimonies coming up in the next weeks to come. I've already kind of lined them out, but I just felt like I should go ahead and go first and share my most intimate, most challenging, difficult thing that I've ever been through in my life, and to let you know there is hope. I'm still working on it. I'm still in need of prayer. I still have days where it's just rough, but for the most part, I have more better days than I do have bad days. So anyway, I hope this touched you. I hope this, maybe opens your eye to a different perspective of life. And I hope maybe you'll even be a guest on my show. So thank y'all for watching. Share it. And I appreciate you allowing me to share my testimony with you. Y'all have a great day.